Welcome to everyone who's joining us. This is the beginning of our now 7 Foundation online events for 2025. We're really grateful that you've joined us this afternoon, and we're really delighted to have Smita with us to do a presentation on presentations, which is making her nervous because she feels that you're going to judge her on presentations as a result. But last year, Smita very kindly did a long presentation for our level 3 students in the 7 Foundation workshop in Arles on the issue of how to prepare for public speaking and public presentation, because we think that really is one of the key things that photographers, storytellers, photojournalists need to learn and also need to improve, whether you're pitching to editors, speaking to possible funders, opening an exhibition, or whatever. To get your points across in a succinct, impactful, and relatively short way is becoming, I think, increasingly important. So having done that for us in the workshop last year, we asked Smita to come back to kick off this year's online events and do a version of that presentation, looking at her experience of how she came to think about doing presentations and working on those presentations. So Smita, it's fantastic to have you with us again, and we really appreciate you sticking your neck out there. Let me bring up your presentation and then you can begin, and then we'll have time for questions. People in this platform can just write questions into the chat and we'll bring those in sometimes as we go along, but certainly at the end we'll cover some of those questions. We can actually also now, if I work out how to do it, bring the questions up on the screen, so it's possible to see who's asking and what the question is. So Smita, we're in your hands.
Thank you, David. So, am I nervous? Yes. Do I look nervous? I don't know. We'll let the audience judge it. So, I think this is my first time speaking about public speaking, which is kind of nice. And thank you for the opportunity. So, what I'm going to share today is completely from my experience of being on stage at different places, different conferences, um, private, corporate, TED conferences, things that I have learned. And I'm also going to share some mistakes that I did, which people should not do, and what I learned from there. And I'll be sharing some tips. So, can we go to the first slide? Before we talk about presentation and public speaking, we have to understand that people have changed over the years because of technology, media, social media, especially. So, until a decade ago, our attention span was about 12 seconds that we could hold. Now it's come down to 8 seconds. So, imagine how much we need to concentrate to listen to somebody until and unless we are really interested. And when you talk about public speaking, you have to understand that you are talking to a crowd which is a complete mix. There could be somebody who is a teenager, there could be somebody who is in his 70, men, women, different countries, different cultures, different experiences, but you have to get their attention. So, how do you do that? So, next slide, please. So, what is a great presentation? Um, it's the age old same thing. It's a story which has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you're working on a project, for example, say silicosis, you go up to the stage and you're trying to talk about a certain place and community where you have worked. I'm just giving this as an example. Um, You have to understand that you may be close to the issue. You might have spent 5 or 6 years working on it, but there could be somebody in the audience who has never heard the word silicosis, right? So you cannot take your audience for granted and think that they know everything. In a sentence or a two, you have to first introduce what you're talking about, what is the subject matter, and then you can go to the photographs to your main presentation, right? So again, a story and introduction is very important, and that is the most important thing, because that is when you're going to grab the audience's attention. And one has to remember that when you are on the stage, it's a great gift. Imagine walking on a stage where the spotlights are on you and you have 5,000 people looking at you, right? It's a great privilege. So you have to make utmost advantage of that stage. You have to give it that respect. So obviously you have to prepare, and to prepare you have to rely on storytelling, because that's the best way to grab people's attention, and that's why we are visual storytellers, we are photographers, right? Now, the ability to engage and generate enthusiasm. Yet you can talk about poverty, you can talk about pollution, you can talk about different aspects, different topics, subjects, but you have to make it interesting. You have to grab people's attention, and just grabbing attention is not enough, because I spoke about attention span. You have to keep them hooked. So, how do you keep them hooked? That is also important. Now, what drives the audience to think? You're giving small food for thoughts to people. You're giving them ideas. So that is also important. And you have to remember that when you are giving them these food for thought, you have to give them some time to think. You cannot rush through a presentation, right? Silence, pauses, all those things are important. Little bit, not too much. You can't just talk and maybe you forgot the sentence or something. You can't do all that. Of course, you have to prepare. And honestly, when you are talking about something that you really care about, you're passionate about, it's just going to flow. A genuine story or ideas, it's just going to flow. Your passion is automatically going to fuel your presentation. Can we go to the next slide? So, communication. So, you're communicating an idea, a topic, your experiences. You're talking about a crisis, maybe a situation, or a thought, right? So, do not talk or read. You have to narrate, which means, like, imagine your grandmother telling you a story. You have to get into that zone. You have to think that you're just talking to people and you're narrating a story. That's it. You have to forget that you're standing there and you're talking to a big audience. Maybe it's a small audience of 20, maybe it's a big audience of 10,000 people, but this should not change the way you talk. And then communication, it becomes easier when, of course, you're passionate about the topic or project that you're working on. As I said before, this is what is going to drive diction. We all come from different places. We all have an accent, right? People say I have an Indian accent. People say people from US, they have an American accent. People from Australia, they have a different accent. Accent is fine, but your diction has to be clear. It has to be articulate. People should be able to understand what you're talking. Now, the ability to control your voice and your speed of talking. You have to speak in a continuous flow, but that should not be boring. You have to add periods, stops, comma in your sentences, but at the same time, imagine your talk to be like the waves of the sea that comes in, right? Sometimes, if you're talking about something which is exciting, you will have to bring that excitement in that speech, and then you have to release, you know so again, it's called the tone. The tone has to change. You have to bring that. You can't be talking in one mode just like that, because people are going to get highly bored and they'll go back to their phones. um, and adjusting your speech patterns based on the audience. So, why I mentioned this, and this is me talking at the MIT Solve conference. So, when they invited me for the conference, of course, I was full of gratitude, but I was also nervous because it's MIT. And there are going to be a lot of scientists, researchers, technology people who are at the top of technology game, right? And I was the only visual person who was invited there. So when I asked them about what do you want me to speak, they said like, we like your work that you have been doing on human rights and gender. So it's up to you. So I wanted to make it interesting. So I had to think about what can be interesting to an audience which is going to attend this conference, right? And it was a conference. It's a huge conference, and attended by a lot of people from all over the world. There was, CEO of some very big companies attending. There were people from the World Health Organization who were there, and there were researchers. There were professors who were in that crowd. So, my topic that I chose was about how visual storytelling can help to understand the problems, the issues of the world, and how we can solve them. Because this conference was around solve. That is why it's called MIT Solve. And most of the people who were speakers at the conference, they were, building technology to solve something. For example, artificial intelligence. Somebody was working on that to help build artificial muscles. Maybe it's going to come in the next few years, right? So imagine that level of technology. So, of course, I prepared my script, I prepared my speech and everything. And the conference was for 2 days. The first day, I attended, I mean, I listened to all of them. My talk was on the second day, post lunch. So, again, I had to remember that post lunch people are going to be, they'll be eating and they'll be already tired from all the listening. So, I had to make it very interesting. And I also, when I attended all the talks, I saw that they all were talking about technology. They all were talking about fantastic, phenomenal things that they are working on. They were working on Rwanda, they were working on different places, they were working on uh, solar power. They're working on a lot of things, innovations which are going to come out in the next 5 years or 10 years, right? And I changed a little bit of my talk on the stage at the end, because I felt that it was important for me to include that. And what I told them is that I saw fabulous talks today. I'm inspired by it, and you all are making beautiful, incredible work and technology to help solve various problems. But if you're building these technology for the people, you have to first understand their problems. You have to first understand whether they're going to accept it, whether there are any kind of cultural angles because of which they cannot accept the technology. You have to understand any kind of gender you know uh, issues if there are there. So you can only solve problems when you understand them, and for that it is important to talk to the community. And for that, storytelling is important. So somewhere down the line, I was able to blend in my work and talk about their work and the importance of both. So that is another way of engaging people. Next slide, please. So, presentation style, we all have different styles. There is no good or bad style. It is our style, right? Everybody talks in a certain way. Everybody has a certain body language, and it's good. It has to be different. Otherwise, we all would be robots. So, but you have to, all the best talks, you have to understand that most of the tedious, technical, boring topics, they can be interesting when you present it the right way. And if you remember the first slide that I showed, there was this person called Hans Rosling. He is an educator, a medical doctor who has worked a lot on poverty, on health, over decades. And I love his presentations because he talks about most important but maybe not so exciting things. But the way he presents is amazing. I just love his talks. And there is a talk, if you will find it in YouTube. It's on statistics and how the world is changing. And he talks about 200 countries over a period of 200 years, how these countries have changed in 200 years in 4 minutes. Can you believe it? In 4 minutes. You have to watch that presentation. It's amazing. Next slide, please. So here is the most important thing about us. Photographs and edit. And what I'm sharing this is completely from my experiences. Your images are important, of course, but concentrate more on storytelling, as I said before, rather than the edit of the images. As photographers, we get so hooked on to our work. Of course, those are our babies, right? And we spend hours editing. Uh, and that is important. Editing is very important. And Saraline is watching this video, and I go to her with a lot of my edits and help. But when you are presenting on stage, you have to understand that until and unless it's a Nat Geo seminar where everything is about photography, it's something specific about photography. But if you're talking to a general audience, you have to focus more on the storytelling rather than the photographs. The photographs should not drive your photo storytelling. You know, that's what I mean. And you might be working on something for 6, 7, 10 years. Don't focus on the entire project. It's going to be too much. So focus on one aspect, one single aspect, and make it really interesting. Maybe on one theme idea, or maybe an extract from that project. If you try to bring too many things, it's going to confuse the audience. You're giving them too many things to eat, so their stomach is going to get upset. So see, I'm injecting humor in my speech, right? So when you give a presentation to public, you have to inject some humor in it because people need that. So, when showing an image, please avoid explaining the technicalities of the photograph. Sometimes we get hooked on to say uh, something about it until and unless it's super important. If it's really important to that specific topic or that specific image, then it is important. But otherwise, I would say don't. Um, and one thing which I have seen when I watch other photographers' presentation, I love to hear about the background stories. How did they make this photograph? How did that happen? The process. It's so interesting. Or any kind of background stories, like waking up at 3 o'clock and then traveling for 4 hours to reach somewhere at 6 in the morning to get something. And then you see that the doors were closed. So, what did you do? Anything like that, something which is important. And you can also talk about, you don't always have to share success stories. It's all right to talk about failures because we are not heroes. It's important to discuss all those failures also because it's important for people to understand that you're a human and you're doing this hard work, I think. um, and going back to editing, edit according to the specific angle of your talk, or the specific topic of the conference, or that entire, because there will be perhaps other speakers, and maybe it is something on climate change but something specific to climate change. So you have to edit according to that. And again, you might love some of the best photographs, but as we say in editing, kill your babies. If it's not relevant to the storytelling, you have to take it out. It's okay, it's all right. You can do without it. And please don't show too many photos. I know we want to show a lot. We 40, 50 images, that's just too much. Don't show so many photographs. Less is more. Again, it's true for presentations. Next slide, David. And you are not alone. I know giving a public talk, going up on stage, can give you a lot of anxiety. You can feel the nerves. Your hands can get cold, your voice may tremble, you feel so nervous that your throat can feel parched. Your breathing, you can literally hear your heartbeat, so loud that you feel you're going to collapse on the stage before you enter. You might have to go to the toilet several times, right? You might not sleep a week before. Every morning when you wake up, you feel that there's something in your stomach, you're not feeling well. It's all normal. It's all okay. We all go through it. It is okay. It's fine, you know. And don't think that if you flip, if you make a mistake, people are going to not eat you. It's all right. We are humans. If you go with that fear, then you're going to mess it up. Just feel that you're talking to friends. So if you go with that energy, your confidence, see, I just messed up. I said conference. It's okay to mess up. It's fine. So your confidence will automatically, build. So again, I think practicing deep breaths, long deep breaths before you go on stage, not being on the phone for some time, just taking a break from all the clutter around us, everything helps. Um, and again, I want to say you're not alone. Now there is a fear that many people have that during the Q&A, what if somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer of? It is okay to not know the answer. You can't know everything. Even if you're working on something, you can't know everything about it, right? It is okay to not know something. And it is okay to be honest and say, sorry, I don't have the answer, but I'm going to find out, right? Honesty is the best thing. So I think this is the last slide, David. I'm not sure. See, can we go to the next? I think this is it. Yeah, that's it. I have kept it very short so that we can have more conversation.
Excellent. Thank you, Smita. Um, you said you were going to talk about mistakes. What has been your worst experience in public speaking and presenting, and what made it the worst experience?
I think this was during my second TED Talk. This was in Mumbai, and it was at the NCPA Stadium. The stadium is so huge. It's uh, I think 4,000 people, and then there are other people outside. So I was prepared. Everything was fine, but I did not know that I had typhoid. And I went 2 days before my talk because they want all the speakers to go beforehand. And it's a very nice thing because, there's a lot of bonding between the speakers, and we do practice sessions. We go out, we hang out, we go for beers. It's all good. I did not know I had typhoid. I was feeling unwell, and I did not tell them. I did not tell the organizers. I was popping pills. And the day I had my talk, I had 104 fever.
Wow.
So I popped pills. I felt okay. I had a lot of orange juice. And I went on stage. And during my talk, my throat became so dry that it was difficult for me to gulp. And because it was so dry, like this, can you hear the sound?
Mhm.
So this is the sound. It's like 5 times more of the sound. And imagine this big auditorium. You're with this sensitive microphone here, and there is no sound. And there are like 10 lights on you, and you're on that red circle standing, and you're trying to talk, and you're not able to talk because your throat is not allowing you, right? That happened to me.
Wow.
And it was so difficult to talk. I was more concerned about my throat rather than my speech, but I did not mess with my speech. I did not mess with it, but there was a problem during the editing. When they were editing it down, they could hear the sound.
Yeah.
and it was difficult for the editors. So I felt really sorry for the editing team. But yeah, so that was one thing. Don't hide anything. I feel if you feel unwell or if there is anything, you should talk about it. You should seek help. And I brought these to show everyone. Uh, these are dry mouth lozenges. You can find them on Amazon. Please have it before you talk, because this is a common problem. When you go, you're going to sweat, there are going to be lights on you, you're going to feel hot, you are, it's just not, I mean, even if there is several ACs running, it's going to be different for you. So keep yourself hydrated, drink water, and this is important,
Yeah,
because this is what we're going to talk. Yeah.
yeah. So you must have given dozens of presentations in recent years, maybe even more than that. Do you still get nervous in before each presentation?
Yeah.
And given that you've got all that experience and done major ones, why do you still get nervous?
I mean, it's not that, we as photographers, we are very close to your work, we know what we are talking about, but at the same time, um, I don't know, I mean, it's just the first 2 3 minutes that I feel nervous, just the beginning first 2 3 minutes, you know and then automatically the moment I start talking, things flow.
Yeah,
So, and I think it's because I'm more conscious that I'm giving a presentation. I'm giving a presentation. The more you think about it, the more conscious you become, the more nervous you feel. And as I said, the moment you start talking, you just stop thinking about who's going to watch you. Think that it's your best friend sitting there, you're talking to her.
yeah.
That's it. So, yeah.
I asked you about the presentation which you thought was the one that had the most mistake and so on. What do you think was your best presentation? Um,
Oh,
and what do you think made it the best presentation?
oh,
Did you come away from a presentation once thinking, I really nailed that, and it was because I did X?
I don't know if I can say anything as my best. I would like to think all of them are my best. See, I'm sorry.
Good answer. Yes.
No, just kidding. But I don't know. But I think my first TED talk, which was at Palm Springs,
Yeah.
it was like a Hollywood production. I have not seen a level of production that big.
Right.
Uh, it was the TED Women Conference, and we had gone there a few days before. And when I saw them make that stage, and when I saw all those lights and big sound boxes, I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to be there on that stage and talking? It was so nerve wracking. I have never felt so nervous in my life. It was the most scariest thing that I felt. And the day, I mean, but I think that was one of my best talks.
Yeah.
I was so calm on stage, I forgot everything else.
Yeah.
um, and I was actually enjoying when I was on stage, and this is something I actually enjoy when I'm on stage. I like interacting with people. I see the expressions of people change from happy to sad to surprise. I have seen men cry at my presentation. That was the best feeling I've had. Yeah, but I'm sharing this. I'm not supposed to share this. I messed up with my last sentence in my TED talk, but nobody knows about it other than my coach and me. And this is what my coach always told me, that your work is about you.
Yeah.
No one else knows about your work more than you do. So if you change something, no, your audience is not going to know about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's go to a couple of questions from the audience, and if I can actually put them on the screen so you and everyone else can read them. Um, so from Joanne, it's about is there an ideal length for a keynote?
Uh, Depends on where you're giving the talk. What are your audience? What are the expectations? The TED Talks, if you look at the TED Talks that were 15 years before, they were 18 minutes long officially, right? Before that, before 18 minutes, it was even 25 minutes long. And now, if you look at the TED Talks, they are 6 minutes. It talks about how we have evolved and changed as humans. And remember, right at the beginning of my presentation, I was talking about attention span. That is the reason people don't have patience anymore. So if you keep your keynote too long, people are going to get bored. You don't want this to happen to people. You want people to be enthusiastic during your talk. You want people to listen to you, right? You don't want people to go back to their phones,
Yeah.
hiding, and you don't want that.
Yeah. So a little bit shorter. I mean, that also depends, of course, on the event itself. People will often specify how long your
Yeah,
talk is going to be, so you're going to have to fit into their plans anyway.
yeah. But I just want to add one thing. If the talks are longer, please inject some humor. Bring in something funny to the discussion. Also, another way to engage the audience is to ask questions. If your talk is really long, if the expectation is that you talk for 15 minutes, it's a hell lot of time.
Yeah.
And if that is 15 minutes, then you have to engage your audience.
Yeah. So here's another question. What happens
I
if you
think I
don't know
answered
the
that.
answer to someone who's asking the question in a Q&A session?
Yeah, I think I already answered that. It's okay. If you don't know, it's okay. You can say, sorry, I don't know about it, but I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
It's okay to be honest. It's good to be honest.
Yeah.
People will respect you.
Yeah, I think that's worth underscoring, because the worst thing that you can do is try and blag an answer for something you don't know anything about, because you will get yourself into trouble somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you say I don't know, you're showing humility, and people that are then accepting that you're really engaged in that. Um, this question: you've had coaching. How did that
Yeah.
work? What did that involve roughly?
Uh,
What kind of
so
coaching?
my coaching was a part of my TED fellowship. So I'm a TED fellow. So as a TED fellow, we were given a coach, and I had a fantastic coach. She was the best. So what I mean, she's a professional coach. I don't know how much can I talk about her, but I can tell you a few things that I learned from her. She told me it's okay to be nervous, and she has coached so many people. She has coached celebrities, you know. So, and she told me a few things about some of the celebs whose names I can't say and what they have gone through. So that made me feel good.
Yeah, everyone's human, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those who can't be TED Fellows, are you aware of other kinds of coaching that people could get, or other kinds of help that people could get with presentations?
I'm not sure about specific to photography. If there are photography specific coaching available in our industry, I'm not sure of that.
Right.
But if you're talking about general speech coaching, I think there are some professional, but I don't know how effective they are. Actually, honestly, I don't know. I just know about the fellowship that I got and what I learned from there. And other things that I learned was all from me giving talks,
Yeah.
things that I learned, yeah, along the way.
Yeah. One of the things that you emphasized at the beginning was, A, having a story, and B, then narrating a story. And that kind of suggests sort of a conversational style, and you talked about tone of voice and so on. But do you script your presentations beforehand? And do you see that script when you're making a presentation?
Very important question, David. So, again, it depends on what I'm presenting, where I'm presenting. For example, I gave a big presentation to a global corporate who makes, I can't take the name, but they make apparels and they're huge. And I was giving a talk to their 5,000 odd employees. Um, so I had to, prepare for that because again, they had people from different continents who were attending it. And so what I do, what works for me is that, I studied filmmaking at some point during my bachelor's, and there we were taught to do storyboarding. And that storyboarding is what I use in my talk.
Right.
Yeah, so basically storyboarding is like, you have a small box of the visual and then you have a text box,
Yeah.
uh, which is where what is it that you're going to talk, and then you have notes, something if there is anything that you want to write.
Yeah.
So that's how I prepare my first of all I prepare my entire talk in a Word doc. Then I go over it. I cut it down. It has to be very small. And one thing which I want to suggest is that writing and speaking are two different things.
Yes.
You can write very well, the language can be really beautiful, but that might not work while you're talking.
Yeah.
So the language which you use when you talk has to be very simple. You cannot use too many big words. It can jar. You might, there can be a slip of tongue, and it just makes things complicated. So just make it simple. And the storyboard helps me. And one trick which works for me is that once I have finalized my script, it can be 3 pages because I already have the visuals. And then the next thing, when you have the visuals in a block, the next visual, maybe you're not showing anything. So again, you have a clipper. Remember, when you're stage, you have a clipper and you change your sometimes you have to the reason why I say don't use too many photographs is because in some presentations I've used a little more photographs, and while talking, because I was so engrossed in my talk and I was talking, looking at the audience, and I was engaging with them, I forgot to press the button. So it stayed. It stayed on that photograph. And then I went to the next topic or the next
Yeah.
paragraph where I was introducing something else. And when I clicked back, I said, "Oh my goodness, this is a from the previous thing." So quickly, I went through that. So these kind of mistakes happen. So
Yeah.
that's why I don't have too many photos, and visual and text have to be together in a script. If you want to keep, if like us, we are visual people, right? So if you have it in front of you, and if you look at it, you'll know that this is what I'm going to talk, and this is what the photograph is going to show on the screen.
Yeah. Got a few questions, but I'll just bring in this point from Sarah. She mentions a name. Deborah Benson has worked with Nat Geo
You,
for
Sarah.
years as a speaking coach. So if people in the audience are interested, they could check out that particular website for that. And I'll come to this question from Cyrus. You answered part of that, the first part really, in terms of storyboard and so on, the process for structuring and organizing. But I think Cyrus is also asking about narrative structure. You have beginning, middle, and end as a classic narrative arc. Are there other narrative structures that you've used in presentations, or other storytelling timelines that you've used in presentations?
Yeah. I mean, in one or two presentations where I walked in, I started straight with one story, and a shocking story,
Right.
because I knew that I had very difficult audience. It's a very mixed crowd, and I had to grab that attention.
Yeah.
So it was like shocking. I go to the stage, and instead of hi, and it was straight to the point. I went to the story, and people were like, "What the hell did she say?"
Yeah.
And then I introduced, "Hi, I'm a photographer, and what you saw is a part of my project XXX, and this is what I've been working on X number of years." So there are different ways to present, yeah, but I can't emphasize the importance of the beginning. It's the most important thing,
Yeah.
and the conclusion, because you're leaving them food for thought.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving them a small gift in the end.
Yeah. Excellent. Which kind of leads to this question: what comes first, photo or story? Do you think in a presentation? In that example you gave, you bowled in with a story, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Did,
It again, there's no hard and fast rule. It all depends on what you want to say, how you want to start your presentation. You want to start with a photograph and then talk about it, or you just start with a story and then you show the photograph. It all depends on what you want to say.
yeah.
There's no rule to it.
Yeah. Um, Question about practical matters. Any tips for reaching out to a location or venue if you want to give a presentation? Have you ever done that? Have you ever approached someone and said, "Hey, I've got this story. I think it works for you," or are you just responding to invitations?
No, I just respond to
Yeah,
invitations. But if people are interested, there are a lot of these. I mean, there are things that are available, right? There are conferences where you can attend. You can also apply to be a speaker. I mean, I see quite a bit,
yeah,
online. You can search about it. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, I want to bring in a question that Sarah asked earlier. Here we are.
Oh, Sarah, you had to ask me a difficult question. um, I think there are two kind of audiences, especially now. We have expensive magazines. We have news websites where you have to buy, subscription. So we as photographers, we want our stories, we want our work to reach the maximum, to have the maximum impact. We want people to see our work. We want people to resonate and understand our work, right? But you cannot have everyone see your work because there are so many things now, right? um, I mean, some of the websites you can't even go into the story. You see one paragraph and then, are you a subscriber, blah blah blah, and then someone has to gift you that article, or you have to go do some hacking through some IT genius to be able to read that, right? So uh, yes, I think public speaking has brought more attention to my work at this stage, I feel. And because i I don't know, I mean, other than stage speaking, there are, like, for example, now, David, you're recording this, right? And
Yes.
it's going to be, people are going to watch this, people are going to share the link, right?
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't stop there, it keeps on rolling, right?
Yeah.
um, and I don't know, I just feel when you talk about something, it has more impact than when your work is seen by people on their tablets or on their mobile phones. This is what I feel.
Yeah.
It resonates more.
Yeah. That's true. So this question is about a problem you might have while presenting, losing your train of thought.
Yes.
Has it happened to you?
Yeah, it has happened. But no one understood that it happened. Listen, it's okay to make mistakes. We all do. You will mess it up. I can't use the other word. I wish I could. But what you what you should be doing is that do not let anyone understand that you messed it up. Somewhere down the line, get back to the train, jump into the car, and keep going with your steering. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It just makes you seem human, I think, if that's the
Mhm.
case. Otherwise, you just look like someone who's going to read a script and be absolutely perfect and not look open to engaging. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we've all done that example of what you said before, where you get stuck on one image or one slide and you start talking, and then it's like, oh, I didn't go to the next one, and then you're a bit out. That happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most teachers
Yeah.
have done that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, sort of coming towards the end of our time. We've got time for a couple more questions if people want to type those. Um, if you were to give one takeaway, Smita, your absolute gold nugget takeaway that you think is the most important thing in preparing or delivering a presentation, what would that be for people?
Uh, Takeaway. I don't know. I've not thought of it. Um, but I think one thing is gratitude. Imagine a stage which has been given to you. Imagine the number of lights on you. Imagine there is an audience who are just there to just listen to you. Imagine the pressure. Imagine the kind of respect that you have within that 10 minutes. You have to make the most of it.
Yeah,
It's a blessing. I love to be that in that situation. It's a blessing. So make the most of it.
yeah,
And no one knows your work more than you do.
yeah,
No one.
yeah. That's absolutely true. Here's a final question. Um, oppose with some of the technicalities, kind of shifting from public speaking to actually presenting in other forms, approaching editors. Now, of course, we have a whole series talking to photo editors who give advice about how to approach them, and I'll come to what I think is the conclusion that they might reach. But in terms of, we've been talking about you going on stage and talking, but presentation is also making an approach with a document, but then also the first conversation you might have with someone. So what would you say to this question about approaching the editor?
So we call it the elevator pitch, right? We are talking to an editor about something that is completely new and you're introducing it. Keep it for 5 minutes. Elevator pitch should not be more than 5 minutes. Editors are very busy people, right? They have so much to do, there's so much going on. So the elevator pitch can be 5 minutes, and then if you have a body of work to show, then maybe 15 to 20 photos is more than enough.
Yeah.
And it has to be a superly well done edit, tight edit, cohesive. It can't be an edit which you're showing to the public, because a public presentation edit and what you're showing to an editor has to be different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I think if we were drawing a conclusion from our various photo editor talks, it would be definitely use a PDF with a small, tight edit of photographs and the story. Never send editors a link where they have to go somewhere, download something. Do not make work for people. Present it directly to them. So you're confirming that. But I think that's been the most consistent advice for editors. Well, that's great. We really appreciate your time and your insights, Smita. I'm going to embarrass you by putting up Maggie's comments to conclude with, because I agree entirely.
Oh my God. Maggie.
You are a bright ray of sunshine. We've enjoyed having you talk to our students. Last year, we've done a session with you on your We Cry in Silence book, which I urge everyone to go and have a look at that project. Because I think Maggie's right. It's about the issues, about the people, and the photographs are a tool for that particular story. And I think you're a fantastic example of that. So thank you very much for coming along today to do this. Thank you to everyone in the audience for questions.
Thank you for the questions.
Exactly. You survived the questions, so that was all good.
Look, my ears are hot.
We just put that up for various people who get our newsletter know that we record events and then we put them up on our websites under the video, what's now called the campaign section, and the video collection. You'll see all our previous events, the videos there. If you get the newsletter, you'll be reminded of that and advised of that. And if you want to see what the next talks are going to be, then in that section on the Seven Foundation website, you will find online events listed at that URL. But if you're subscribing to our newsletter, which you can do on the site, you will get that information anyway. But that's a good reminder. But Smita, thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
And
Thanks.
thank you to the audience.